Alrighty, just doing a bit of an update. Again, it's been a couple of weeks since I actually did a video update, so there's just a kind of a whole suite of changes that I'll try and go through in one video rather than kind of breaking them up into features. So we've tried to really pull the build together. We're going to submit it to Epic's grant system, so we've just got kind of the main menu here, getting little bits of UI and just something vaguely entertaining to watch is kind of the main menu. And again, actually getting some decoration into the lab, some bits and pieces, so we've kind of got this little outdoor area, kind of set it up so you can actually shoot at those and get some information about the spells. But coming over here, so we've got a nice little kind of animation and delay on the menu coming up there. Still got just your default 3 spells. Kind of now have this area out here to immediately go test it. So one of the big changes, I guess the first of the big changes that we really put in was giving you some information about the spells. So you've got your spell here, I'll drag that across and call it playable, whatever we'd like. But if you actually right click your spell in here, it brings up this panel here. So really nice to actually be able to get a bit of an idea as to what the spell does. It before felt a bit guess and checky. You'd kind of make a spell and then have to go and actually cast it on someone, and even then you kind of had to guess as to what it actually did. Now you kind of have a much better idea of what your spell is straight away and whether you actually want to keep it. And you don't have to inscribe it, so you can just quickly make a spell, check if it's any good, compare it to your current one, and then decide whether or not you actually want to keep it. So some art. Trying to remember when the last time I did a video was, but I know this bar down the bottom here is new, just little bits of art that kind of help. You got a new minion type in, so kind of a base grunt minion. So if I come across to this guy here, so yeah, we've got a basic grunt minion, and then you've got the warrior and the archer above that, and then the king is kind of the biggest one. So here's my little charging grunts. So definitely got some damage and a little bit of explosion on that. The little guys are really nice for just feeling like you can mince through guys essentially. That looks like that's probably pretty much all of them. Yep. Here's my little guys cheering. So come back, we've still got this battle aftermath here. We raise all of those corpses as little guys, so to be fair, I lost them at about the same ratio as I made them. So the structure's still more or less the same. This rock here is one of the new features, so basically you've got kind of a little description of your army on the left hand side here, and you can in fact kind of use them to make the better guys. So that's actually how you get some of the better units. So if I actually just buy a whole bunch of archers, I have obviously a lot less of the little guys, but I have a bunch of archers now. So I just kind of fight another battle. I should kind of see that the difference in troop quality is pretty noticeable. So especially those archers, they really should cut through those little guys. Those one-shot kills. Yeah, it's absolutely massacred. So I've kind of fought a couple of battles there. New enemy armies that spawn kind of spawn with your current army strength in mind, so now that I have archers, new spawning enemies will be able to have archers as well. So it kind of scales up with you as you do more things. Okay, so I have finally gotten enough components to make a new spell. So kind of like with the spells, being able to learn about the spells, you can also learn about the components you use. So if we actually use these, we don't have any components that we've used before. So at the moment I know nothing about any of these because I've never used one of these in a spell before. As you start using components and spells, you learn bits and pieces about the components, So if the component actually influences the final spell in that particular category, you learn that about it, and then you can, if it doesn't manifest after that, you actually learn more detailed information, so it's actual weighting. But when you start off the game, it is just some guess and check. You have no idea what anything does, so you do kind of just throw things together and hope for the best. So we've got another spell here. Alright, that's a big moving vortex of sorts. But I don't kind of have to just guess that anymore. We've got, yeah, okay. So it's a cast like projectile, sphere, field, it's air, 3-second cast time. So we've got actual proper cast times and cooldowns now. Those are actually things. It's not just always a 1-second cast time and 2-second cooldown. It's very unstable. We've just got some kind of descriptions here. It knocks me back and damages me when I cast it. Yeah, so vortex, field. So with those inscribed, you kind of come back out to the battle. Let's go hunt down this guy. So yeah, you can see these enemy, these new enemy armies can have archers now because I have archers. That way it just kind of keeps them in parity with you. So I'm trying to remember which spell was which. Cancelled it. There it is. Alright. So that was nice and quick. Come back here. I've got a bunch more grunts, so I might make some warriors this time. I really do want the kings. The kings are pretty monstrous. Okay, so fireballs first. We had to rejig the HUD slightly to make sure that these icons lined up with what was actually being drawn in the HUD. That was just a legacy from a very old HUD. We haven't rewritten it in a long time. I'm actually sure this field does, but oh! It definitely knocks you back or something while you're in it. Fireballs, little explosions. Oh, nice. Boom. Nice. So yeah, between being able to give commands to your army and also now that you get to kind of just raise the basic guys and then pick how your army turns out, it's starting to really feel like you actually have some kind of agency over your army. So I have 10 skeleton warriors now, so I can in fact make a king. So I don't have many guys anymore, so I will actually want to pick my fight somewhat carefully. But this is basically just showing the game loop is really, really coming together. This whole kind of building up your army, building up your spells. Alright, so we've got some stuff here. So I know that I used a vortex before and a fieldiness. So if I right click this now, we actually see there's a bunch of information here about what the vortex does. So, and this is where our system really shines. So it hasn't really been able to be showcased before because you didn't have any information to work with. The system is very maths driven and deterministic. You can really intend to build a certain type of spell and actually build that. So here you actually get the properties of the components. And so if you're setting out to build a certain type of spell, you actually do really kind of look at this and try and work out what things you need to mix to get the result you want. So for example, if I wanted a big field spell, I wouldn't use this because this has solidity is solid. And you can in fact learn then the weighting. So components have their preference for various properties and then whether that's low, medium or high weighted. So you can learn that as well. So I might just, while I'm still kind of learning about things, just use 3 brand new components, just kind of spreading the love around so that I can just learn as much as possible. Okay, so I've got my first template cast. That is a long cast time. And it's some ridiculous wall. That might be a terrible, terrible spell. So let me check. What does it actually do? 20 damage, knockback, huge explosion damage, and a decent explosion size. Yeah. Wall, exploding wall. solid walls are some of the only spell assets that still don't actually have art, which I'm not crazy on. So it's just kind of like the untextured wall there in the center. But that's alright, I'll get those in soon enough. So that is a hectic cast time. Might not even get this down. Not really. That was a tiny little army. Already got another one. Well, always got to raise the skeletons. Ah! Too close to the lab. I think it's going to hijack my attempts to right click that little aftermath thing. And yeah, they don't survive when you go somewhere. Yeah, come back here. 79 grunts. This should actually be great fun. Let's keep those in the order that I actually need them. Oh my god, we're losing. I mean, that king should basically be Leonidas against these little guys. He has splash damage and... The enemies do just attack move to your spawn point, so... But I'm nearly dead, actually. I don't want to watch that. I'll see him. There he is. Was that everyone? It was. Wow, that was close. So my army's pretty wrecked. But not to worry, I killed a lot of grunts, so... I should be able to... build some army back up. Yeah, let's get into the king, since they are just so beastie. Enemies can have kings now. That is excellent. That's what I wanted. So yeah, the enemy armies spawning at about your strength is what really allows the game loop to kind of keep up with you. It feels like you are in fact progressing. But I can still set him on fire, which is so OP. But I'm not going to argue with it because they're just letting me wreck this fire. Unfortunately, killing their king doesn't give me any more corpses. I should fix that actually. It should totally give you like 10 salvageable parts. But I'll probably cut this video about here. That does show really kind of most of the functionality. So I've learned, you know, I'm starting to learn about these various components and what they do. I've still got a whole bunch of new ones here. So I mean, just to kind of show the intentional crafting, let's say I wanted to build a big fire field. So I mean, this here has the effect that I want. The component does to target apply temperature 15, so applying temperature is what I want for the burning. Now to make it a field, well, fieldiness is solidity is not solid and size is titanic, which is pretty much what I want, a massive fiery field. So I'm actually just going to rock 2 of those. So, and this is where our system kind of really shines. Very intentionally here I've tried to make a big fire field. So it's cast like a template. And it's a big fire field, which is glorious. I actually didn't test that before I made this video, so that worked out far better than expected. Actually, there's template cast as well, which is pretty glorious. Fire field. So yeah, there really hasn't been any thought to balance put into this fire field. Is probably real broken. Text shouldn't have shown up there if it picked 0, but let's find this. Putting the cast times and cooldowns in does kind of balance out these massive spells. That fire field will probably take a while to cast. Size is one of the big things that affects that. But it's not too bad. It's tell my guys to not run into that. I'm just going to let them run through it on their way to us and all burn to death because I am God. My dude just stood back up to cheer despite having been set on fire. His dedication to the fatherland is truly glorious. But yeah, so that's everything. It gives you a bit better idea of how this game actually plays. And yes.